2016 Ford Transit with an engine misfire. Now it's something we definitely can't ignore, so let's get plugged in with our scan tool and see if we can figure it out. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. This is our 2016 Ford Transit. My wife called me and said the van's starting to lose power. She had the van fully loaded up with people and gear, and when heading up a grade, she said that it was kind of shaking just a little bit or starting to miss or was starting to lose a little bit of power. So as soon as she got home, I jumped in, drove it around the block several times, and everything seemed to be fine. And so I really wasn't sure what was going on, and we didn't have any active check engine lights, so I didn't even bother plugging in the scan tool. But just the other day, we hopped in the van again and we're fully loaded up, and as soon as we were heading up a steep grade, I could feel the van start to miss and started to hesitate. And as soon as you stomped on the accelerator, the check engine light started flashing. That's when I knew we indeed had the misfire and we were gonna have to take a look at this. So we ended up babying this and kind of nursed it back home. The flashing check engine light went off almost immediately when getting off of the accelerator. Now, as soon as we got it home, I plugged in my scan tool and got a P0302 indicating that we had a misfire on cylinder number 2. Now, because we have a misfire specific to cylinder 2, it's likely that we have an issue with that coil pack, that spark plug, that fuel injector could be plugged, or we could have something going on internally. Normally, I would start with coil packs, swapping that cylinder 2 coil pack with another cylinder to see if that misfire would follow that cylinder. Now, because the spark plugs are somewhat overdue, we're at 100,000 miles and they should really be done every 60,000 miles. I'm going to get in here, change out the spark plugs first, and then we'll see if that solves our issue. All right, now we do not have an engine cover. I think on some models they do, and that's what this little ball stud is for. We're going to start on the passenger side first. It's a little bit easier to get to, and here's our coil packs right here. And first thing we need to do is disconnect them. Now there's a little red tab that you need to slide down first. Now these are tricky sometimes because they're so brittle, but if you can push down on the tab right here, you hear that little click, and then try to slide them back. You almost have to do it at the same time. Push down and then slide it off. Once you get it a little bit, you can slide it off the rest of the way. There we go. This last one here. All right, and then these are all held in place by this 8mm bolt. We can take those out. This tube just kind of pulls out of the way. That nut grip socket just helps prevent dropping these. Now, I probably should have done this ahead of time or before starting, but I'm going to take some compressed air and blow off this area so that when we take off these coil packs and, of course, take out those spark plugs, we don't have anything falling down in the cylinders. All right, now we can pull out these coil packs. Just give them a little twist. Now, sometimes it helps to put a little mini pry bar up underneath them. Oh, come on. But this one's stuck in there pretty good. There we go. That was really stuck. See, sometimes you can separate this little rubber piece with a mini pry bar because sometimes there's a little trapped air. See that little hole right there? You can bleed out the air that sometimes locks these in place, but I don't know that that was the issue. I think this was probably just stuck on the plug itself. Now, I do like to keep track of the order of these in case there is an issue with the coil. We can maybe help isolate which cylinder that's on. Pop out these other two. And for the last one. Okay, we got all the coils out. All right, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside of each one. All right, now we can pull out each one of these spark plugs. Now I'm using a spark plug socket here. This is a specialty socket. It's got a magnet in it to hold on to that spark plug. It also has this beveled angle, so it makes it a little bit easier. And I'm also using this locking extension. That way we're less likely to lose our spark plug socket down here in this spark plug tube. We'll just drop right in there. This is a 16mm. We'll break them loose. All right, there's a close-up of what the first one looks like. You can definitely see it's worn out. I'm sure that that gap is incorrect as well. Now the spark plugs we're using are Ford Motorcraft. Part number is SP580-X. Now these are Ford Motorcraft spark plugs, but I thought it was kind of interesting that these are made in Japan. I looked this up. It turns out that these are made by the same company that makes NGK spark plugs. But Ford Motorcraft, made in Japan. Even the ones we took out are made in Japan. It's the same spark plug. And that's what the new one looks like compared to the old one. Now the other notes on the package here, it says that the spark plug gap is not adjustable. The gap is already preset at like 0.30 or 0.31. Now you don't want to go using your spark plug gap tool or anything to check that or do anything with that. Unless this got damaged or hit, it should be fine to install just as it is. Now another quick note on this, it does not get copper anti-seize or any type of anti-seize on the spark plug. That's just like NGK, it says on the package, do not use anti-seize. That can actually cause it to get stuck and make things worse. The way that you can tell is usually this shiny bright silver coating on the spark plug threads. That usually lets you know that you do not need to use anti-seize, and that is of course the case with these as well. So just like it sits, this is ready to be installed. Now you also want to start these by hand or thread them in carefully by hand first. You'd never want to use a power tool when installing spark plugs, definitely when getting them started. Just thread it in there nice and smooth. Now the package also does say, as far as the installation torque, should be 10 to 20 Newton meters or 7.2 to 14.4 foot-pounds. Now I also just wanted to double check online, and this says 133 inch-pounds, which is right around 11 foot-pounds. I'm going to use this inch-pound torque wrench, and I've got that set to 133 inch-pounds. There we go. All right, now we can move on to cylinder 2, and this is the one that had the misfire. That's number 2, and definitely looks like that gap is much larger than it should be. I think that's what's going on, is this spark is just too weak to jump that gap under load, and I imagine that's what's causing our issue. You just want to be careful when you're feeding those into the spark plug tube that you don't end up accidentally closing that gap. There we go. Now for cylinder 3. And there's number 3. All right, we can drop this last one back in on this side. Now before we put the coils down in there, I'm going to put just a little dab of this dielectric grease on the end, really just a little bit, and that will help prevent any moisture from getting in there, but more importantly, it will prevent these from getting stuck next time. Just kind of spread that around in there. That's probably more than I needed. And then we can drop that down onto the plug. All right, and then we can get these bolts started. Really easy to break these, so don't overdo it. All right, and then we can plug in the connectors to the coils here. Just push them in until you hear them click. And then once you hear it click, you can lock it in place, like that. And that's it for the passenger side. Now let's go do the driver's side. For the driver's side, here's our coils, and we need to do the same thing. Just take out this 8mm bolt to pull those out. Now, in order to get to this one, it looks like this tube is kind of in the way. So I'm gonna release this just by pulling back on this little tab right here, and then just pop that off. You could probably do it without taking this off, but that just gives us a little bit better access to see what's going on. Now it looks like this other connector is also gonna have to come off, so we can deal with that when we get to that one as well. I'm just gonna loosen and remove these 8mm bolts. Wow, that one, for some reason, is really sticky. Now I didn't have to use this on the other bank, but for whatever reason, this bolt holding in that coil pack is super stiff. And so I just hit it with a little bit of PB Blaster. Hopefully that will soak down and loosen that up. Now while I'm waiting for that to loosen it up, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this side with some compressed air as well. Now normally there's also a little foam rubber block back here, and so you would also need to pull that off so that you can get to this back one. But let's see if that's loose enough now. I'm gonna go back the other way. Now I'm really trying to avoid breaking this, and I think we got it nice and loose now with that PB Blaster. I just kind of went back and forth a little bit. Some moisture must have gotten down in here though. Okay, PB Blaster seems to have done the job. Let's try to loosen this one here. Okay, no problem at all on the second one here. Yeah, this one's nice and clean. Now let's see if we can get the back one. Now it's a bit of a reach, but it's not too hard to get to. Now this electrical connector looks like it's in the way, and it's not going to allow us to pull off this back coil. So I'm going to see if I can squeeze that and release it. There we go. Just need to take that off, so now this coil will come straight up. But now we can disconnect all of the electrical connectors to each coil. Just pull down that red tab to unlock them. Now the other trick that you can do is with a bent pry bar like this, if you get up underneath, you should be able just to hook that and then slide the connector off like that. That's actually a little bit easier. Just prying up on that little piece of plastic that hooks onto the little hook that's on each coil. That seems to be working pretty well. Unlock the last one and do the same thing. Yep, that definitely got it. Okay, they're all disconnected. All right, now let's see if we can pull these coils out. Just kind of twist and pull up. Again, I'm using that same little bent pry bar to try to get up underneath that little rubber seal, maybe break it loose. All right, we can pull these spark plugs out now. There's the first one on the driver's side, and here's the new one ready to go in. All right, now we can drop these coil packs back down. I almost forgot the dielectric grease. Now the connector on this last one was kind of in the way. Gonna try to reconnect that as I push it in. There we go. All right, that clipped and I locked it into place. And we'll just connect that as well. There we go. Clicked and locked. Now we can get these bolts started that hold down the coils. Sprayed it with a little WD-40. That seems like it's going in okay. Now this one. And then the last one back here. Now before I forget, I'm going to plug this connector here back in. Now let's get all these snug. Again, don't overdo it on these, just make them snug. All right, now we also need to put this recirc tube back on here. It's like the PCV hose or something like that. I've actually changed this once before. All right, that's locked into place. Now, normally you would have, again, a little piece of foam rubber that kind of sits on top of this and protects this area, but now mine's missing. I think years ago it got chewed by some rodents, but I got rid of it, so I should probably pick up a replacement, but that's it. We are done. Let's start it up and see how it sounds. Started right up. It actually sounds really good. No misfire or anything like that. So let's clear the code. We had that pending code. Let's just clear that, and then we're going to go on a nice long test drive. Hopefully that was our issue and everything is good. Let's just let it rescan real quick here, and if we have an immediate misfire, we'll know that we did something wrong. Okay, no powertrain DTCs or freeze frame data, so let's head out, do a nice long test drive, and we'll try to put this under some pretty heavy loads, maybe going up some hills and really stomping on it. Hopefully the misfire is gone, but we'll find out here in just a few. To say that misfire is gone, and I think that this has got actually quite a bit more power. This thing really moves. No hesitation at all, not missing. Everything seems to be really good. All right, well, we're back from a nice long test drive, and again, no powertrain DTCs or freeze frame data. Now, I'm just gonna scan it real quick just to double check, but I'm sure that there's nothing. Yeah, no powertrain DTCs. This thing is running very strong, no misfires or anything at all, no check engine light, no flashing check engine light, and no codes. So this is good to go. Well, that's all it was just some bad spark plugs, you know, just fouled, dirty, worn out. Again, we're just over 100,000 miles, and I should have done this sooner. That's one reason to not neglect your scheduled maintenance. 60,000 miles is the recommended interval for the spark plug change. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. And of course, I'll get a link in the description to some of the parts and tools used in the video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.